Tonight on Metro News. Auckland's got a bed tax. Will Christchurch be next? We take a look at the city's Dirty 30. And what's got these children swinging their hips? Kia ora, good evening. Welcome to your local news bulletin brought to you by the students of the New Zealand Broadcasting School.
First up tonight, should Christchurch follow Auckland and introduce a bed tax? The idea is tourists and other visitors pay the tax and the council spends the money on much needed infrastructure. It's proving controversial in Auckland, so Rebecca Brebner has been checking out what people here think. What's the response been, Rebecca?
Well, according to the people I've spoken to, it's going to be just as controversial down here. The hospitality industry isn't keen and neither is the airport. And even though bed tax would bring the city millions of dollars of revenue, the general feeling is that visitors already pay enough. Christchurch is working hard to pull in more tourists. But while a bed tax here could provide another income stream, it's not tempting our council.
Thankfully, I haven't seen any bed tax proposals for here because I think I'd really struggle to support it.
The industry here says Auckland's idea of target rates on accommodation providers is severely flawed.
Every ratepayer benefits out of having tourism because if tourism's busy, everyone that supplies a hotel or a motel, like the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, they all make money out of busy tourism.
But what could bed tax bring in? Christchurch has more than 4,200 visitor beds. Based on Auckland's plans, charging hotels an extra $1 to $3 per night and hotels $4 to $6. Bed taxes here would inject over $7 million into our economy. But despite those sums, it's hard to find backers for the idea. Christchurch Airport says it would not support international visitors, funding local body expenses. A spokesperson says Christchurch City is one of the largest investors in tourism, with over $850 million being invested in Christchurch Airport. Many say we have other priorities, like getting more hotels up and running. But for all that opposition, some tourists are okay with the idea.
We're here visiting, it'd be nice to help out where we can.
And just a few dollars, it's not a big deal.
And if you're going to tax tourists, they're not going to want to come in and stay at Christchurch if they're going to have to pay more.
Hospitality New Zealand believes visitors are already paying their way via GST, and a bed tax would only push some accommodation providers out of business. Christchurch is different to most cities. We still need another 3,000 hotel beds to make up for pre-quake numbers. So the council says the focus shouldn't be on the taxes, it should be on the beds. But in 4 years from now, when those bed numbers are back up to normal, who knows? It could be a possibility.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Abuse, violence and littering. Just some of the problems St Albans residents claim they have to deal with because of sex workers in their neighbourhood. Now, as Emmy Mackay reports, they're frustrated the council isn't moving fast enough to resolve the issue.
A quiet residential suburb turns sex worker hotspot at night. Residents forced to put their front yards under surveillance.
We're on a street corner. We've got up to one girl working on every street corner as a standalone commercial enterprise.
After the quakes cut off the CBD, many sex workers moved to residential Upper Manchester Street, bringing illicit activities, visitors and noise with them.
We've also had a number of elements of sort of retaliation and violence against property, individual private property. There's also been clients serviced on private property and also on the street and in cars.
Locals have been pleading to the council for help the past 6 years, but a hoped-for outcome last week's been delayed. The council's looking at two options: a new bylaw which will ban sex workers from working in certain residential areas, or sticking to the status quo and using agencies such as the Salvation Army and the Prostitutes Collective to try and change the sex workers' behaviour. The Prostitute Collective's worried a bylaw could discriminate and say more practical help should be considered.
If, for example, a particular area was created, it was used as an incentive. There were things that would incentivise sex workers to work from there, things like showers and toilets and lockers.
The residents only want one thing.
I just want to be able to sleep at night and for my kids to sleep at night and for us effectively to have our residential area back.
But a quiet night could still be months away. Emmy Mackay, Metro News.
A petition to get rid of the 15% GST on women's sanitary products is going viral. As Lauren Jones reports, some believe the cost is too expensive and they want the government to act.
There are sanitary products for every shape, size and comfort, but the price range isn't so accommodating. So 2 Auckland high school students are taking action.
We started the petition as a sociology assessment. We decided to make a petition as our social action and then it kept going from there.
The Change.org petition is aimed at getting rid of the 15% tax on women's sanitary products to make them more affordable.
We don't believe it should be on them because they're a necessity. Every woman needs them. You can't help but buy them, and we just don't believe that there should be GST on them.
To tackle the affordability problem, the University of Canterbury is giving out free pads and tampons to those in emergencies.
Ideally, we wanted to be able to give out free sanitary items to all of our students that need it, but that was just the quantities and whatnot would be too much for our budget because they are overpriced, and so this was the next best thing for just people that get caught short.
A pack of 12 pads can cost you anywhere between $2 and $12. Now, the petition estimates that women spend around $16,000 on sanitary products over their lifetime. If the GST was taken off, that'd give us a saving of around $2,400.
It's something that can be done. It's just changing that whole mentality around it, and I think that's something that needs to come from the top down.
In the end, they hope movements like these will start the right conversations.
We're just happy that this is out there now for maybe discussion in the future if we can't change anything.
To get to Parliament, the petition needs to be presented by an MP. They currently have just over 27,000 signatures, and their message is, women, if you want to make a difference, get online and sign. Lauren Jones, Metro News.
Here's a figure you may find surprising. Dogs are responsible for biting more than 3 people in Christchurch alone. Not only that, the City Council believes all the incidents are preventable if owners are better educated. Tom Peterson reports.
Dogs, a man's best friend. But are they really? Recent figures might be showing otherwise. Dog attacks have risen over the last 5 years. In 2015, ACC recorded 1,100 dog attacks in Christchurch alone, many of which involving young children, and councils say owners are responsible.
Going to toilet in the public to attacking somebody, if you own a dog, you're responsible for what that dog does.
A Christchurch expert running classes for owners agrees there is a problem.
We're opening more shelters, we're actually reporting more dog bites.
While the figures surrounding children and dogs are alarming, experts say all are trainable and manageable.
It's a misunderstanding and a miscommunication more than it is anything about the natural behaviour of a dog. It doesn't get up in the morning saying, I'm going to eat that child down the road.
The maximum penalty that can be given to owners of a dog involved in an attack is a $20,000 fine or 3 years in prison.
I'm not sure that the penalties are the right way to go about it when we could use education rather than incarceration as a way of dealing with the problem.
Despite the potential for harsh penalties, Council are now also focusing on education, rolling out new programs about dog interaction within the community.
Our ultimate goal would be to have no dog attacks within the Christchurch or ultimately nationally. I mean, it's not acceptable behaviour. People need to be responsible for their dogs and they need to understand their dogs and the way they behave.
The advice is clear. Keep your canine in line by teaching it right from wrong. Tom Peterson, Metro News.
Coming up on Metro News, we catch up with a runner on his way to the Youth Commonwealth Games and take a look at the future of Redcliffe School.
My name is Ella Cook. I'm a television production manager in London. I work for a company called Red House Television. I work on property shows, comedy and entertainment. I worked as the production assistant on New Zealand's Got Talent, on Target, on What Now. I came to London nearly 4 years ago now. Didn't have any issues finding a job at all. I went to a company called Hat-Trick Productions. We won a BAFTA last year, as well as were nominated this year. To even be nominated and go to the awards was something I never ever thought that I would ever do, but then to also win it and go up on the BAFTA stage was just a brilliant feeling. I love living in London. Definitely a big change from living in New Zealand. There's so many people, it's so busy and bustling all the time. I also love being able to just go to the theatre or see something different every night. The professionalism that we are taught at Broadcasting School really helps in the wider world. I had my degree on my CV as well as the work experience that I'd gained after my internship. I would never have thought that I'd get this far. It's the best thing that I ever did for my career. There's no way that I would be where I am today without the degree that I have.
Welcome back. The council is cracking down on developers it claims are holding up the rebuild. It's put out a list of damaged buildings dubbed the Dirty 30 and it wants owners to take action. Melindy Wilson has been looking at the issue and joins us now. Melindy.
The council's wanting to tidy up the city and says buildings still waiting to be repaired or demolished give the place a bad look. As a result, they're putting pressure on the owners. But some are annoyed they're being targeted and say the council's being unfair. They're dirty and there's 30. 6 years on from the earthquakes, the council's closing in on properties it says are holding the city to ransom.
At step 1, we start applying the pressure. At step 2, there are some financial penalties. And step 3, ultimately, is compulsory acquisition, which is port of last call.
The council says it's properties like this holding up the rebuild of the city, but in some cases it's not always in the landowner's hands. Bernie De Vere claims his buildings are among those. He's responsible for the Peterborough Centre and Victoria Mansions, both on the hit list.
We found it a wee bit insulting, really, because had they come along and spoken to us, we would have told them exactly where we were at.
But Jamie Goff says the letters were intended to put the pressure on.
I wanted it to be threatening. So if they feel a bit offended by that, well, I don't really make any apologies. And I think offending them and getting that public pressure on them to take action is a positive thing.
Mr De Vere says insurance issues and legal wrangling have held up their restoration projects. And he wants to know why council isn't going after the empty parking lots around Christchurch.
Why didn't they all get lumped into the same sort of dirty 30s? Maybe the list would end up like the naughty 40s or something like that, you know.
The council's admitted perhaps some shouldn't have been on the list, and it's really targeting those sitting on insurance payouts. However, it's voted to put the framework in action, to breathe life into vacant land and derelict buildings. So the council's not just talking tough, they're going to take action if things don't get moving. From next month, they'll charge owners for sites spilling onto roads and footpaths and may also appoint case managers to help find solutions, showing the council's determined to keep up the rebuild momentum.
Thanks, Melindy.
But those aren't the only buildings awaiting a verdict. 6 years on and Redcliffe School is still in limbo. The latest plan involves a land swap, but as Joey Dwyer reports, not everyone's in favour of the idea.
A sight all too familiar to Redcliffe's residents. But while the community won the battle to save its school last November, it hinges on a land swap. The Ministry of Education proposing to site the new school on Redcliffe's Park, 700 metres away.
It's a pretty pragmatic solution. I mean, I think the community would love to see the school reopen it on this site. There's no reason why it can't reopen on this site.
The Ministry's idea is open to public comment for a month. But for the school, it's a long time coming. They've been located at the Van Ash Deaf Education Centre in Sumner since 2011.
After the earthquakes and everything that we went through, moving around different sites, we're hugely relieved that our school gets to not only stay open, but gets to come back to its beautiful suburb of Redcliffe's.
The council says that Redcliffe's Park is the most preferred option for the school due to its area and location within the community. And if all goes to plan, we could see the swap to be completed by 2019. But not all locals are behind it.
Well, I think they should stay where the original site is. Why would they change? It's safe to me.
I don't understand why it's safe enough to be a park but not safe enough to be a school.
There are also concerns the park will lose its football fields and play area, but the council says these will be added to the new location. The principal has a message for those who are worried.
We want it to work really well, and we hope that once they see the plans that they'll feel that things will be able to work really smoothly.
The school's fate will be decided by a hearings panel following the public discussion. With local views divided, there's still big decisions ahead for this small community. Joey Dwyer, Metro News.
A Christchurch teen is lacing up his shoes to take on the world's best at next month's Youth Commonwealth Games. Middle distance runner Nick Moulai will travel to the Bahamas to compete, but today he joins George Berry in the studio. George.
Thanks, Alison. Thanks, Nick, for joining us.
No worries, cheers for the opportunity.
So, Nick, when did competitive running start for you?
It was back when I was about 9. I started off as a sprinter, but didn't actually get into the distance stuff till I was about 14 or 15.
And when did you hear about your selection for the Games?
I was actually, my mate Don Parks-Dolan, he sent me a text over message and then told me to check Facebook, and then I checked Facebook out, and yeah.
And can you describe the Youth Commonwealth Games to us, just, you know, the process?
I believe it goes from the 19th of July till the 23rd, so 4 days, and obviously running, swimming, gymnastics and other sports like that, yeah.
And going into practice and whatnot, what are your coaches saying to you, and what are you trying to implement into your training schedule and whatnot?
Obviously just want to wake up every day as a new day, you know, you want to be better every day, but my coach is quite critical on the technique kind of side of things and just staying injury free.
And how many people from Christchurch are going to the Games? Are you aware of that?
I believe it's only one other athlete from Christchurch, Hannah Bates. She's a swimmer.
And is there something you're aspiring to? Is there someone that you're aspiring to be like for the future?
Well, Nick Willis, obviously being New Zealand's best middle distance runner, he's obviously someone I look up to and want to be like one day.
And how many kilometres would you run a week, Nick?
I consider myself as a low mileage kind of guy. I'm usually about 50k to 60k in summer, and then up to 70k maybe in the winter.
And for the Commonwealth Games, the Youth Commonwealth Games at that, is this something that you've been working to since you've started competitive running?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got dreams and aspirations that you want to do, and that's just building up to hopefully Olympics one day and World Champs, so it's a good stepping stone.
And what's your overall goal for the Games?
Obviously you want to compete to the best of your ability, and hopefully that brings good results, maybe even a podium or PBs. That's all I'm there for.
And is there yeah. Thank you very much, Nick. That's all we've got time for. Good luck. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, George.
After the break on Metro News, we'll tell you how the weather's looking for the weekend. And we check out the new initiative, which has preschoolers swinging their hips.
My name is Aaron Soma, from New Zealand originally. Now I'm working at the BBC in London, at BBC World as a producer. So I went to broadcasting school, studied there, and then got my internship at TVNZ. Decided London was calling, so came here, started working at BBC World, and I've been here for about 3 or 4 months now. Absolutely just fell in love with this place. I mean, it's incredible. It's like a dream for any journalist. And to know that what you're producing is going out to tens of millions of people every hour, people watching it around the globe. It's incredible. There's that saying, the city that never sleeps, and this is one of those, of course. It's a huge, huge place. Great different little pockets of the city. It's amazing, it's always buzzing. At the moment I'm working night shifts, so that's overnight. So I start at about 10 p.m. and finish at 7 a.m. You know, when I arrive, America is just going to sleep, but Asia is opening up, and then Europe starts to open up. So it feels like a bit of a dream actually to be working here. The course is great because it's very much in line with what the industry is doing, and that's really important because it gives you this kind of almost this worldly knowledge of what's actually happening. It can lead you to this big wide world. You can do whatever you want to do, put your mind to it, and get out there and see what's around.
Welcome back. Ever thought about trading in your petrol-hungry car for something more environmentally friendly? Well, plenty of people are going electric. Maddie Lloyd reports.
Electric vehicles. Kind to the environment, even kinder to your wallet. These two, complete EV converts.
The funny thing is, if I ever have to go back to a petrol car, it's just horrible. It's smelly, it's noisy, you feel every vibration through the steering wheel.
Mark and Megan bought their Nissan Leaf 3 years ago. It costs just $25 a month to run, compared to $90 a week for their old petrol car. This mode of travel's picking up speed. A New Zealand company is behind new charging technologies.
Our mission is to connect charging systems to the internet basically, and there's a few reasons for doing that.
Power companies could automate charging to off-peak times, helping to manage future energy demands.
New Zealand's greenhouse gas emissions have increased by 54% since 1990, but our country's transport agency wants to change this. Their aim is to get 64,000 electric vehicles like this one on New Zealand roads by the end of 2021.
But our converts think we can aim higher.
I think we should
go a lot harder and try a lot hard, try for a bigger goal.
But some myths may still need to be busted first.
I think a lot of people still think electric cars are really slow and not fun to drive. Sure, they don't sound the same as a V8 or something like that, but I think it's quite a different experience as well.
What they need to do is find someone who has one and actually get behind the wheel and drive it.
And so I did. And when I was told to put my foot down
on the accelerator. Yeah.
With charging technology improving and more EVs hitting Kiwi roads, it seems we are heading in a cleaner, greener direction. Maddie Lloyd, Metro News.
Hula hooping is a bit of a challenge for most of us, but these days preschoolers are giving it a go. As Ella Proud discovers, it's all part of getting youngsters active.
Burwood's Little Explorers are kickstarting their day with hula hooping.
We want to give the children confidence and fun. We want them to smile and learn new skills with a hula hoop. So it's not all about being just on the waist.
The sessions are designed to challenge kids physically and mentally.
Interhula holds classes for preschoolers and people up to 90 years old. In Christchurch, they visit 10 preschools weekly, and the numbers are only growing.
And the lessons are a big hit.
The kids are getting out and enjoying it, so anything that gets them out and running around and moving is always beneficial.
The children have their favourites.
We roll it through the hula hoop, the big hula hoops. Do hula hoops. Hopscotch.
Today she's with preschoolers, but hooping is for all ages.
But you're never too old to pick up a hula hoop. It's low impact, yet it's very beneficial for your body. Thank you. It creates friendship and collaboration and connection. So it's a joy.
Back and forward, a joy she sees benefits young and old all round. Ella Proud, Metro News.
Brooke joins us now with the weather. How's the weekend looking, Brooke?
Well guys, I've got to tell you, it's looking like it's going to be a cold one. It was a very crisp morning for many Ōtautahi residents who woke up to -2 degrees and frozen car windscreens. The rest of the country experienced a mostly fine day, but could see some light showers this evening. It's looking like another cold start to the day for the Garden City tomorrow, kicking it off at only 4 degrees with a few morning showers. The high will be 11. That frosty theme continues further south, particularly in Twizel, who are going to experience a low of -3 tomorrow evening and a high of only 9. Timaru and Ashburton will experience some morning showers, but those will clear later in the day. Further north, Kaikoura, Hanma and Oxford, you'll just be hitting the double digits tomorrow. Kaikoura, you'll be the warmest of the trio, reaching a high of 12 degrees. Looking ahead to the rest of the weekend, Canterbury, be prepared for some cold mornings, but mostly fine days. If you're heading to the Lions vs Crusaders game tomorrow, wrap yourself up because it'll be a chilly 5 degrees. That's all from me. Kia pai te wiki mutunga. Back to you, Alison Delphine.
Kia ora, Brooke. Well, you've seen the presenters, you've seen the stories. Now it's time to meet the team who make it all happen. Join me as we go behind the scenes at Metro News. Take a group of students and give them 3 weeks to put together a daily news show for a website and Facebook. Let's see where it all begins. A lot of planning goes in before the cameras come out.
Actually getting other people to be on camera is kind of hard because a lot of people don't like it.
And that's where the screen and television students come in.
We go anywhere all over Christchurch.
Out in the field, there's no time to muck around.
We've got to make sure we've got enough pictures, do the interviews and then get back to B school.
Back at school, it's now the journo's time to shotlist and script. This means sorting through a lot of footage.
Well, you have to list every shot you've done. I give myself like 4 hours.
Once that's all done, it's back to the television students for editing.
So our deadline is 1 p.m. today.
Awesome. Do you think you'll have it done?
Nope.
Okay, I'll let you get on with it then. From here, let's check out VT. There are some pretty important jobs down here.
I scroll the order queue.
I do graphics. I do VT.
I'm doing a VTC record.
So now let me take you to where the decisions get made. The control room. Running the show from here, the director and the DA.
My job is to sit in the control room and queue everything up with my DA so that it can go straight to air.
What's the most important thing to make the show run smoothly?
Definitely communication. Everyone kind of gets the same message at the same time every day.
For me, it's about making sure it gets timed correctly and it doesn't go under or over.
With the show recorded as live, timing is key. Everyone needs to be in the correct place when they're needed, and for many, that place is the studio. Before you know it, it's lights, camera and action. And that's Metro News for the time being.
For those stories and more, head to our website, metronews.co.nz. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Thanks for joining us. Ko Alice Webler-Dahl, tōku ingoa.
Ko Delphine Herbert, tōku ingoa. Ka kite anō.